Mary in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, listening on AM 950. Hey, Mary, what's up?
Hello, Thom. I am a Libertarian. I want to ask you how the federal government has done with our Social Security funds over the years, using the money for programs unrelated to old age benefit, old age pensions, and now there's not enough left for future retirees.
Well, what you're saying, Mary, is simply not true.
How well has the Department of Education done directly?
Well, let's stay with the first one you started, and then we can go to the second one if you want. First of all, what you're saying is simply not true, Mary. There's a $2.6 trillion surplus in the Social Security Trust Fund largely for retirement benefits. And about a third of Social Security is not even retirement. It's disaster insurance, which every person in America has. It's when Paul Ryan's father died, his mother could go on Social Security to raise him. I mean, it's literally for disability and widows or widowers. And the Social Security has never missed a payment. Social Security is solvent for at least another 27 years, and it'll pay 70% of benefits forever. And if we simply raised the cap on taxable income, right now, if you make over $118,000 a year, you no longer pay Social Security taxes. Why is it that somebody who makes $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $1 million a year, $4 million a year, $50 million a year, in the case of the John Stumpf, who runs Wells Fargo, $200 million, why is it that he's not paying Social Security taxes on that?
Yeah, I agree. I think he should.
But the fact of the matter is that Social Security is just fine, Mary, and the Libertarian solution to hand it over to Wall Street would totally screw Americans.
Yeah, I wouldn't agree with that. But how about all the money that has been spent on other programs in the federal government rather than being saved for
Social Security
retirees?
Funds? No Social Security funds have been spent for anything except Social Security.
It's been lent to the federal government to do other things.
Oh,
with.
Mary, you're buying into the Pete Peterson lie. The Social Security Administration has $2.5 trillion of surplus.
Billion
right?
or trillion?
Trillion. It's got $2,600 billion that they've got. That Ronald Reagan in '82, when he doubled the Social Security tax, the reason why was they saw the baby boomers coming. And said, okay, we've got to, and this was Greenspan and what's his name, the guy from Massachusetts. In any case, they said there's the baby boomers coming, so we've got to for the first time, have a generation that not only pays for their parents' retirement but also pays for their own retirement. So starting in '83, we doubled the Social Security tax and started setting aside money for the boomers to retire. That money now is $2.6 trillion, and they're starting to use it up. And when they're all done, it's supposed to go back down to zero, which is where it was in 1982. Social Security always used to be a pay-as-you-go program. It had no surplus fund. Didn't need one. But they saw the boomers coming, and they said, let's prepare for this. So you're the Social Security Administration, Mary, and you've got $2.6 trillion. Where are you going to put that money?
I don't know, somewhere safe.
Exactly. And what's the safest investment in America right now?
I don't know.
Treasury bonds. They're backed by the full faith and
That means they borrow it. That means they're taking it for other federal programs.
No, it means that you're loaning essentially that money to the federal government.
Right.
And if you want to talk about deficit spending, arguably you're right. But the fact of the matter is that it gets paid back. So I would say you're wrong.
They get paid back with new taxes on everybody.
No, it gets paid.
It's not there anymore.
No, our government does not default on its debt. We have no problem paying our debt. Our debt is
we're in deficit. We got a big debt.
Yeah, we do, and it's a smaller debt as a percentage of our GDP than we had in 1950 after World War II. And you know how not Franklin Roosevelt. You know how Dwight Eisenhower paid down? We were at 129% of GDP back after World War II because we borrowed all that money that we fought World War II with. Or not all of the money, but most of the money. And so we were at 129% of GDP. We're in the neighborhood of 100% of GDP if you include the Social Security Trust Fund, the $2.5 trillion in that number. And there's another trillion or so that's federal money that is simply invested in bonds right now. So the way that Eisenhower got us out of that was by building the interstate highway system, was by building new schools and hospitals all across this country with additional borrowed money. by issuing treasury bills. And that so stimulated the economy that more people went to work, more people had higher wages, they paid taxes, and it paid down the debt. It's a fairly easy matter to pay down the national debt. You just have to have Congress willing to do what Dwight Eisenhower did, which is rebuild our infrastructure and reinvigorate our country. Business, this whole noble libertarian idea that business does things all by themselves. I'm an entrepreneur and I just did this on my own is BS. It's nonsense. The reality is that business operates on the infrastructure provided by government. I get to work every day taking the metro here in Washington, D.C. That's infrastructure. I get around using public roads. That's infrastructure. All of these things. And businesses require a healthy infrastructure in order to grow. It's the soil in which business puts its roots. And so those cities, those parts of the country that have the best infrastructure, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Portland, Oregon, New York, Boston, where they've got really good, strong, vital infrastructure, are the places where business goes. And the place where there's very little infrastructure, there are the places that business doesn't go. So, by rebuilding our infrastructure, we reboot business.
Well, we shouldn't be giving out corporate welfare, but we shouldn't regulating businesses either, because that makes it hard for them to make a profit.
I'm sorry, Mary, that's not true. Regulations do not make it hard for companies to make a profit. Regulations simply level the playing field essentially for all businesses. I mean, and they protect us. I mean, would you want a refinery upwind from you? You're downwind breathing their air. Would you like all the regulations to be taken off refineries? I know, probably the Koch brothers would like that. They run a bunch of refineries. But would you?
I want some regulations, but
okay. So what regulation do you want to do away with? Because when I hear Republicans and libertarians talking about regulations, they're always talking about the regulations on paper plants, the regulations on refineries, which are, Koch Industries' two principal things, and the regulations. Well, basically, those are the major regulations that I hear about. What regulations do you dislike? Oh, and the regulations that prevent banks from robbing us. There's a lot of Republicans very, very upset about the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau that Elizabeth Warren brought us, which actually has recovered over $80 billion of money the banks have stolen from Americans and returned it to Americans. What regulation would you like to do away with?
I would just say generally regulations that control a business.
Please name one.
On how they.
I'm running a business. I'm sitting here right now. I'm talking to you. I'm a business person. There's a bunch of regulations that I have to comply with. I don't disagree with any of them. I can't think of a single regulation that I think should go away. Can you?
Not right now.
Okay. All right. Mary, thank you very much for the call.